Item number 3 is schedule tasks. Let's go and have a look, shall we? Task Scheduler, Microsoft. Let's just look at good old Windows, shall we? Okay. Defrag on this machine runs every day at 1 PM. Disk diagnostics, that one's actually disabled. Maintenance, that's disabled. On 2003 SBS boxes, for example, the scheduled tasks that are there are from memory, folks, and please don't hold me to the number, but there's about 20 of them. On a 2008 SBS server, from memory, I think it's about 43. And SBS 2011 or or Windows 2008 R2, there are about 27 scheduled tasks. Why am I bringing this up? Understand what the tasks are doing, but understand at what times most of these tasks kick off. Okay? Let's pick one. Okay, what triggers are there, what actions? There are none on that one. Let's look at the defrag one. 1 PM every day. They always kick off on the hour. So please, bear in mind, know what's there and understand what the scheduled tasks are doing. The key point that I'm trying to make here is never ever kick off a StorageCraft ShadowProtect backup on the hour. Never. Go 2 minutes past the hour and it will be fine. But on the hour could cause you problems. Okay. The next point that we need to make is application scheduled tasks. And what are we talking about? The simple fact of the matter, we're talking about things like SQL maintenance plans. We might have some third-party finance application that does its own scheduled backups of SQL, for example. You need to know what they are. You need to know when they run because of the next issue. The timing of those things is critical. You need to understand them. Okay, the next point, item number 5, is VSS. And I do not intend to go into a lot of detail with VSS today. 2 weeks' time when I do this again, we're going to have 30 minutes on VSS. If you do not understand VSS and you get these parts wrong, ShadowProtect will become a nightmare for you because it is critical that on servers we use the VSS functionality. So the quick thing here is, folks, let me just do it this way. Let's go to a command prompt. Let's type in VSSADMIN list providers. And you'll see there are 2 providers. This one here, the Microsoft Software Shadow Copy Provider, is the provider used by Windows Backup, by previous versions. It talks to VSS and says we're going to do a particular job. This is ours. StorageCraft Volume Snapshot Software Provider. It is a service. The executable is vsnap VSS. It talks to the Volume Shadow Copy service. The big issue here, folks, is if you call those 2 or you call ours and a SQL maintenance plan at the same time, you will damage VSS. And without VSS, you're going to end up with snapshots and backups that are the same as your blue screen a server. They are crash type backups. Okay, they are not consistent backups. Therefore, you will have huge amounts of problems. Therefore, it is critical you understand all your other schedules and never ever kick off SQL maintenance plans, for example, and us at the same time. Never kick off scheduled tasks and us at the same time. That's why I say always shift hours to 2 minutes past the hour and things will be fine. Okay? You don't want to damage VSS, folks, seriously. Okay, The next thing. Now, folks, I am using a laptop here, so please bear with me. This is not recommended for servers by any stretch of the imagination because it is not business grade. But the item number 6 is image repository. This is where the backups are saved to. So if I open up this, what is it? A terabyte hard drive, USB 3. This is where all my backups are stored. It should be, and I always refer to it as a fixed image repository. Okay? Critical for seamless backups, schedules, and maximum recovery. Always use, where possible, a business grade disk. For example, our servers here in Sydney all back up to a dedicated server that has direct attached storage. That direct attached storage, folks, is an Infotrend box that has 6 terabytes, RAID 5 based on 2 terabyte SATA hard drives. It is our fixed image repository. Okay, you can use NAS boxes, but again, please make sure they are of a reasonable quality with business grade disks in them. Okay? Rule of thumb for sizing, folks. And a lot of people ask, well, how big do I need to make my fixed image repository? The basic rule of thumb, folks, that's in the document when you get it. If we're using weekly schedules and we've got a 2-week retention, the basic calculation that I always use, and there is a bit of a buffer built into this, is the raw data size. Okay, so let's look at the raw data size here. Let's just make it round figures. It's 40 gig. Okay, I've got 40 gig of data on this thing. Multiply that by 60%, multiply that by 5, and that's what I require for the weekly schedule for 2 weeks retention for my C drive. Now the 60%, folks, on that C drive will be pretty close, within 1 or 2% of it. However, the E drive, the 60% is a joke. Why? Because there's a lot of files sitting on my E drive. For example, the SQL databases, they compress to damn near nothing. So there is buffer built into this. If I'm using continuous incrementals, the same calculation for 12 months worth of retention is raw data size by 60%, then multiply that by 6, and you've got enough disk space for 12 months worth. That's based on all things being equal. Standard file servers, Exchange servers, SQL servers, it's all based on that. If you have a file server where there's large additions and deletions from day to day or week to week, then that calculation can't be used, folks, because you'll end up with issues. All right. The disk fixed image repository should ideally be based on business grade disks in an array of some sort. I use RAID 5 here. Some people, because they're looking for higher performance, will use a RAID 10. RAID 5 based on a business grade device like our Infotrend box will supply the performance that I'm looking for, and the array configuration's fine. I strongly recommend that people use, even for weekly schedules, okay, that they use something like Image Manager. The free parts of Image Manager, folks, because that's all I'm doing here. Yes, I'm using a version that is not publicly available at the moment, but it looks the same. And here I am managing this particular folder. Okay, I have verification settings. Perfect. All right, we will go into a lot of detail with that in a few later sessions, not today, but consolidation settings. Perfect. retention settings. I have configured what I need to suit myself, and it's fine. I can then use local drive replication, which is also free, to replicate that to, say, a USB hard drive for people to take off site. But I am getting this. Immediately re-verify, yes, that's fine. Periodically re-verify. Why do we want to do that? The interesting thing here, folks, is it verifies that you have a valid chain. That's what that's all about. Okay? By having a fixed image repository locally, you will get fast file recoveries, you will get fast server recoveries. I mean, for example, if I was to delete a file out of here, for example, where all my virtual machines sit, I did it the other day by mistake. I deleted this particular drive here. Well, all I've got to do is go back down to my images for that particular drive, pick the appropriate place. Like I might pick this collapse daily here that happened this morning, mount the thing up, pull the files out, fast file recovery. That's what it's all about. Okay, let's move on. This is ShadowProtect, folks. All right. I have gone here and I've gone for, agent options, and I am sending emails. Okay, sending them through to a particular person. Yeah, we know what that is. Send email on success, I'm not interested. Send email on failure, yes. A daily report, weekly report, at what times, and I'm getting emails coming through so that I can actually see what's going on. This one here, folks, is critical. If you have a server that is under quite a bit of load, it's really substandard for what the job is at the time. Like this laptop, at certain times it can be really struggling to keep up. The default startup backup delay here is 60 seconds. I've changed mine to 90, so that this thing will never try to do a backup within the first 90 seconds of the server starting. It allows it to stabilize before we try to do it. So that's what that's all about. Okay. The next thing that I want to briefly talk about, folks, is RAID configuration. It's, based on understand server loads, and it is critical. The basic statement that I make here, folks, is RAID controllers are not all equal, and I mean this as no disrespect to anybody, but host SATA RAID systems, okay, due to the limitations of a host SATA RAID system, you need to check a few things very, very carefully. Configuration of your server, for example. As you know, on this particular system here, I am using host SATA. Okay, it's not rated, but it is SATA systems, and you can see the way I've configured my server to ensure that I can back up volumes independently of each other. It reduces the load on the computer, server, whatever, allows for jobs to complete quickly, and I do not have to hold snapshots for the entire duration if I was to do all 3 volumes in the same job. Okay, it's all about disk queue lengths. It is critical. Disk queue lengths, folks, we'll just quickly do this. Yep, okay. We'll do it through disk management.